Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Does Metal Have Soul podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my handsome assistant, Tom Waits.
Handsome? Oh. Rip Torn. No, what's his name? I always forget his name. Ron Perlman. Got it.
Melissa Kelly, how's it going?
Yeah, good. The same. I have no news to report. I have been writing original music a lot over the past few days. The culmination of I do sketches. I don't know how many people write songs. I do sketches, which is I get an idea for a song and I'll record something, whether it's like a melody or harmony or blah, blah, blah. And then I'll shelf it and leave it. And it's amazing the amount of sketches you get. And then you look back and you go, what the fuck is this nonsense? But of the like 15 sketches I've done over the past like 2 months, I've currently got like 5 songs on the go that I think are going to be quite good.
Nice.
So it's just...
Because, of course, you are a songwriter and we are here to promote the fact that, you know, you make music and I play guitar on some of it. So head on over to Spotify and check out Redefined and Not Today, the last 2 tracks that Mel put out.
Redefined's better than Not Today.
Yeah, quite good. Yeah, I think Redefined is better than Not Today. That makes sense, though. Not Today is an older song. Redefined was written based on the new way of us doing things.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we are here listening to or learning about hair metal. How are you feeling about that?
Boo!
Hang on. This was your request.
No, I know. But when I requested it, I thought it was going to be like Kiss.
But we did
like
Kiss.
Alice Cooper and stuff like that. That was kind of campy and gothy, but sort of fun.
I mean, that is hair metal. Hair metal is that thing. It's just not those bands.
No, but you played me some examples and I was like, what the fuck is this?
It's worth pointing out that while I was playing examples, they aren't things that we're listening to in the show, and the reason they're not things we were listening to in the show is because I picked the good examples of the things that we're listening to, and I didn't want to play any music by any bands that we were listening to in the show.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm being a bit previous.
No, you're not. Hair metal's terrible. And I say that as somebody who I listened to a lot of it growing up.
Yeah.
Some of the more extreme shred related stuff. We'll come back and visit some bands like we'll do a whole episode on Ozzy. I want to do an episode looking at some of the shred guitar thing with bands like Racer X and Cacophony, who were in that kind of hair scene. But yeah, hair metal, and we'll talk about the name and the conventions behind that name, what it means, etc. as we go on. But yeah, hair metal is a genre of music that isn't really looked back on all that fondly. And the people that do look back fondly on it don't have hair anymore.
Listen, there's no judgment. There's no judgment in this place. There's no judgment. I think that, and it maybe ties into our Metalhead Musing actually, I think Metalheads for the most part are like really sweet people with lots of things to recommend them. But there is just a big section, and someone mentioned it in the comments and said it was a minority, and I would say it is a minority, but it is still a large portion. Like, it's a minority, but it's lots of people.
A large minority.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes known as a majority.
No.
God,
you know what I mean, though? It's like there's a lot of metalheads, so
yes.
The minority sounds like it'd only be 5 people, but in actuality, it's literally tens of thousands of people who are very sort of like, oh, well, this is quite feminine, so we don't like this, and this is kind of kitsch, so we don't like this.
Yes.
And it's the constant taking away from metal of, but it must be mathematical, masculine, and I just don't think that's the case.
Yeah, and hair metal is very much the opposite of all of those things.
Ozzy fucking Osbourne.
Yeah.
Barbara, please.
Well, again, Ozzy's got different eras. Ozzy had a hair metal era.
Okay.
And it's not so great. But, you know, we'll get to that in the episode on Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, very wicked of you. So why don't we start with some Metalhead Musings?
Sure.
What have you got for us?
Okay, the first one's from Birdseye. Hooray! Birdseye said, of the last podcast, which we had Trivium and Sepultura. Sepultura. Can't say I disagree with Levi about technique and how there are other things just as important, like songwriting, personality, heart, or a sense of humour too.
I read that comment and I thought to myself that maybe he'd mistyped, because it feels like he's saying, must say I disagree with Levi.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was like, I don't know if he meant can't say I disagree or... Sorry, Brovar is currently singing the song of his people.
He's just having a little moment on the cover.
It's some good gutturals.
Look at him going.
You okay, little boy?
Carry on, Birdseye.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he meant like can't say I disagree or can say I disagree. I'm not totally sure, but I assume that what he's really saying is he can't agree with Levi and technique's not all that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all of those other things are very important, but it depends on the style of music that you're listening to.
Sure.
You can't have, sloppy tech metal bands.
Yeah.
You can't have sloppy prog bands.
Sure.
At the same time, you can't have like punk bands, but like hardcore influenced bands in the metal scene that are very technically proficient. The two things don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's the antithesis of the idea, the antithesis of the sound.
I think it's something that I'll probably end up having to touch on at some point over the next few weeks because Electric Callboy have just released a new song.
Right.
And I think one of the things that some of the, not all, some of the people got mad at me in the comment section and were just like, it wasn't that I was saying it was silly and therefore redundant. I was going, it's silly, still great, but not for me.
Yes.
That particular song.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh, you just don't get it. Like, they're really technically proficient players. Like, they're really incredibly talented. I'm like, but me not liking it and not getting it is not the same. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's gonna be
sometimes you can acknowledge something is good, but say it's not for me.
Yeah. So, moving on, Robert8581 on the Pantera video, which is really...
It's an old one.
Yeah, which is a confusing one. This is only 2 days ago. Said, literally wrote, Disturbed isn't a metal band. You can't be considered metal if your target audience is 14-year-old girls. Typical European believes in censorship. Check out I don't know.
What?
I included this because it was so unhinged, because I'm like, someone needs to have a coke and a smile and a little chat with a therapist.
Sounds like someone's had a bit too much coke.
Typical European believes in censorship. Check out Shattered. Phil is so amazing on that track. It's like, I'm going to say something weird about you and the fact that you're European, and then also be like, but check out this thing that I'm suggesting. Because I'm not going to do that now, which I know makes me incredibly petty.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, if someone's kind of dickish and then it's like, you should check out my favourite band, I'm going to go, suck a bag of Richards.
All of that is so funny to me, because especially on a Pantera video, because of course Pantera started out as a hair metal band.
But do you know that?
So they were literally making music for 14-year-old girls.
Absolutely. But here's the thing that also annoyed me in general, this comment, was just that, like, you can't be metal if your target audience is 14-year-old girls. And it's like, well, first of all, why? Second of all, why would 14-year-old girls as a target audience be used in the negative? I find that stuff kind of not fun.
You do know the answers to all of these things. Masculinity, testosterone.
I do, but I am also being coquettish about it because that's fun. I just read that
Rather
comment.
than croquetish.
I like being croquetish, but if it's like the potato croquet,
croquettes.
not a croquet game.
That's croquetish, I think.
I just was like, what in the freshwater fuck is going on?
Also, the thing with Disturbed is, like, they started out as a metal band. There's no fighting up. You can't argue against that. Their first album it's a metal album.
Yeah.
It's in the new metal genre, but it wasn't made for 14-year-old girls. They are more commercially viable now, yeah, sure. But they weren't, when they started as a band, you didn't listen to them and go, oh, this is a band that's really trying to make mainstream music. Yeah.
Also, I would argue that for the most part of the Disturbed fans that I've dealt with are very much not 14-year-old girls, but in fact, middle-aged men and women who have some very right-wing opinions. Very right-wing. And there's nothing wrong with being right-wing if you have some conservative opinions, but if you're out here saying things that are about eugenicsy, I'm a bit like, oh, okay. Okay.
All right, one more?
Yeah. Mike Herman, which is a great name. Mike Herman says...
Is he related to Mike Herman Wiener? Oh, no, sorry, that's Hazel Thurman Wiener.
Hazel Thurman Wiener. I will put a picture on screen of Hazel Thurman Wiener. Mike Herman says, of Baby Metal video that I put up, said, people shit on Baby Metal because they just can't stand the thought of metal being cute / happy / joyful. I'm 56 years old. I've been a metalhead my whole life. I don't care what anyone says. Baby metal goes hard. People need to stop listening to their CD collection from the 90s on repeat and expand their horizons. There's great music to be found out there. And I was like, yes, Mike. Welcome here. Welcome in.
Mike.
Mike's a good guy.
Mike sounds like a good guy. Even if I don't think Baby Metal go hard,
That's, you know what, it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, I love the fact that he loves that.
Yeah. I just love the fact that there's a 56-year-old man who's self-aware enough to know that there's other 56-year-old men who are also like, I only listen to things that are on CD from 1978 backward. Oh, don't say there's no CDs in 78. You know what I mean, though? People be like, oh, I only listen to this.
I mean, that's basically me. I only listen to music by people who are dead. But
you really do.
Yeah.
That's not totally true.
Or dying.
A lot of the fusion you listen to is definitely people who are still alive who have serious mental problems.
Speaking of which, slight metal tangent, we did listen to Bumblefoot's new record in the car, and I love how much Bumblefoot.
Bumblefoot?
Yeah, Bumblefoot.
I want to go in a Bumblefoot.
Yeah, I know. I love how much Bumblefoot actually totally brought it on that instrumental, because he released his first album as an instrumental album, The Adventures of Bumblefoot, back in the 90s, and I like that record, I do, but then I like what he became. He didn't want to be the, oh, look at me, I'm the instrumental guitarist, and years and years and years of just making vocal albums. And then he said, well, I'm going to do another instrumental album. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. That's not for me.
Yeah.
So it came out, tail end of last year, and I still hadn't listened to it, but we put it on in the car, and he absolutely bought it. But speaking of Bumblefoot, should we put on the little clip of Bumblefoot doing the Mariah Carey?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There you go.
He's really taking the mick there, isn't he?
He is taking the piss. I honestly don't enjoy the sound of whistle register.
No, sure.
I think it sounds like dolphins. But I think it's really impressive when people do it. I'm like, because I've tried to do it many times, but I think the problem is I have lots of natural distortion in my voice. But worse, don't do it, kids. I did smoke when I was younger, and I think that's probably...
It's funny because when he starts, you can hear the breath thing happening. It's like he goes for the and it's not there,
sound.
and then it kicks in.
Yeah, it's
like
that.
It
it's basically
the note.
It's that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
My vocal folds like, who do you think you are?
Yeah. What I will say about that is, it depends how you use that range, doesn't it? When Mariah uses it, it's silly, but I like what she's doing, but it's silly. But Bumblefoot uses that as a texture in his recordings.
Yeah,
he uses it to imitate a theremin.
Hazel Theremin Wiener.
Hazel
Theremin Wiener.
A Hazel Theremin Wiener. Women Rule the World. He does the.
He's
the
very
whistle
talented.
Register on that.
I wish him a long, prosperous, and happy life.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes you play me these people who do fusiony things or very overly instrumental things, and whilst I appreciate it, I'm also sometimes like, but this is just music for musicians. Like, and I'm not against music for musicians, but I'm also like, where's the art? Where's the caring about
Sometimes
people?
that is art.
Oh, I know, but I'm
Bach. Yeah, sometimes that is art.
It's yeah.
Anyway, shall we talk about hair metal?
I guess.
So we're calling it hair metal, but actually if you look up hair metal as a style, what you will be met with is glam metal. Hair metal as a term was a term that was brought in actually towards the tail end of the genre being a thing, and it was used more as a pejorative to insult bands that had that sound.
Oh.
Now to this day, some people still use the term hair metal as a pejorative, but some people use it affectionately. I'd never thought of it as a negative. So to me, hair metal is the preferred term that I would use. I don't think I'd ever used the term glam metal.
Okay.
But glam metal seems to be the overarching term that people like to use. Why did you say at that?
Oh, mostly because I was reading the thing and I was like...
You don't read, I read. Women aren't allowed to read in this house. This is The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh. I think that because I was quickly scanning and I saw David Bowie and I saw T-Rex and I was like, yes. T-Rex I'm not a huge fan of, but I think some of the music's really fun and affectionate because it's very like glitter on your face and platform heels.
Yes.
And frankly, David Bowie could rise from the dead and spit in my face and I would say thank you very much, Mr. Bowie.
We're changing up the format a little bit this week in the sense that we are going to be looking at music videos for every single one of these songs. So I will be playing videos. You can watch the full video on Patreon because we don't want to be dealing with the copyright strikes here on YouTube. Anyway, so let me read the page. So glam metal, also known as hair metal or pop metal, yikes, a subgenre of heavy metal that features pop influence, hooks and guitar riffs, upbeat rock anthems and slow power ballads. And for any of you worried at home, I have curated the list of songs and bands that we're going to be listening to, and there's not one power ballad on there. Because, I don't know, power ballads feel like the opposite of metal.
I'm not sure I can even think of one, if I'm completely honest. I don't want to close my eyes. That's a power ballad, right?
Power ballad, yeah.
Don't want to fall asleep.
Yeah,
But we don't talk about Steve Tyler because he is a little bit of a paedophile.
another
Just
good example,
saying.
though. So Aerosmith definitely flirted with that hair metal thing.
Yeah.
So did bands like Bon Jovi. A lot of people would say Bon Jovi are in the big four of hair metal bands.
Whoa, we're halfway there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've specifically not picked any Bon Jovi tracks for this and no Aerosmith tracks because, again, the tricky thing about the term hair metal, how much metal does something have to have for it to still be metal? And a lot of these bands have none.
It depends if it's a load-bearing genre.
Yeah, so they I've tried to have some of the more metal influenced bands in this hair metal thing.
Okay.
Anyway, early glam metal evolved directly from the glam rock movement of the 70s as visual elements taken from acts such as David Bowie, T-Rex and the New York Dolls, and to a lesser extent the punk and new wave movements taking place concurrently in New York City were fused with the decidedly more heavy metal leaning and theatrical acts such as Alice Cooper and Kiss. So we've talked about Alice Cooper and Kiss way back in the first episode.
Yeah, but we didn't listen to a lot of Alice Cooper.
Because they're precursors to metal.
Okay.
Alice Cooper was never a metal act. Kiss were never a metal band.
I have a playlist that I listen to in the car sometimes when I'm going to riding room on a Wednesday, and it's a mix of Ghost and Alice Cooper.
We will be listening to Poison, though, today.
Poison!
No, the band Poison.
Aww.
Who most people are going to put in the big four of hair metal.
Boo!
So the first examples of this fusion began happening in the late 70s and early 80s in the United States, particularly on the Los Angeles Sunset Strip music scene. Early glam metal bands included Motley Crue, HANOI Rocks, Rat, Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister, Bon Jovi and Dokken. Glam metal achieved significant commercial success from approximately 1982 to 1991, bringing to prominence bands such as Poison, Skid Row, Cinderella and Warrant. All very big popular bands.
Also, let us not forget Spinal Tap.
From a strictly visual perspective, glam metal is defined by flashy and tight-fitting clothing, makeup and an overall androgynous aesthetic, in which the traditional denim and leather aspect of heavy metal culture is replaced by spandex, lace, and usually heavy use of bright colours. Glam metal suffered a decline in popularity in the mid-90s as the grunge and alternative phenomena revolutionised hard rock. Fans' taste moved towards a more natural and stripped-down aesthetic, and the rejection of the glam metal visual style. During this period, many of the most successful acts of the genre's 80s pinnacle suddenly found themselves facing disbandment as their audiences moved in another direction. Glam metal has experienced a resurgence since the late 90s, with successful reunion tours of many of the popular acts from the genre's 80s heyday, as well as the emergence of new, predominantly European bands, including The Darkness,
Yay!
Crash Diet, Reckless Love, and American bands Steel Panther and Black Veil Brides.
Can I let you know something really fucking stupid?
That you love The Darkness?
Apart from that.
Because I know that.
Sure. I don't know if I've told you this before. I might have told you. Back, like a couple of years back, The Darkness were crowdfunding making their documentary. Do you know this? Well, I'm telling everyone else then. And I put a little bit, not a lot of money, maybe a tenner. I put a little bit of money towards their documentary. So my name is in the titles for the Darkness documentary, and that brings me such deep joy.
It's a really good example of what I'm talking about, though, because like I remember when The Darkness hit, and I thought they were great and great band, but then I'm just like, where's the metal in this? They're not a hair metal band.
Yeah, I would say they're probably more rock than
they're a rock band, yeah.
Metal.
And of course, nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that as a negative. I just think it helps to understand. Like when you listen to The Darkness and you listen to Steel Panther, that's a different sound. That's they're coming from a different place. Anyway, so we're going to start out with HANOI Rocks, because I think a lot of people would consider HANOI Rocks to be the prototypical hair metal band They certainly were very influential on the visual side of things. So HANOI Rocks were a Finnish band formed in 1979, so certainly an older band. They were the first Finnish band to chart in the UK, popular in Japan. By 1984, the band was considered to be on the verge of international breakthrough when they released their first major label album. The tour was, however, cut short when their drummer, Nicholas Razzle Dingley, died in a drunk driving accident or incident with Vince Neil behind the wheel in December 1984, Vince Neil being of Motley Crue.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to listen to the HANOI Rocks tune Tragedy. This is taken from, if memory serves me right, their first album. Bangkok Shocks, Saigon Shakes and HANOI Rocks is the name of the album.
Okay.
From 1981. And if I do this, douche.
Ah, that's very helpful.
There we go.
Oi.
So this is Tragedy by HANOI Rocks.
Tragedy!
I'll stop that there.
Cheapers H crackers.
I kind of want to prepare a little screen that I could pop up, like 404, metal not found. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not. It's
just
not,
a rock band.
It's not, especially when they're like.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm sorry. What part of Grease 2 is this?
Yeah.
Also, Susie Quattro's looking fucking fabulous these days. Okay, kid. It's okay. It's. Do you know what it is? Maybe this is the wrong way to interpret metal, but I'm like, for me, metal at some point in the song or at some point in the performance needs to be just the other side of offensive. And there's nothing offensive about that.
Yeah, and you get that with most of the hair metal bands because they are trying to be as commercially viable as possible. It's weird. It's like there's elements of being very inclusive in what they're doing because when you look at like new wave of British heavy metal, Iron Maiden have never gone out of their way to be appealing to women.
Sure.
But hair metal is literally that.
Also, some of the people who wear their t-shirts. I'm kidding.
Yes. No, you're not. I think yes. Well, you may be kidding, but you've accidentally been accurate. But you know what I'm getting at. You know, like the hair metal is a party type of music, and it is. I want to say inclusive towards women. I actually don't think it is. It's welcoming towards women, but you know, from predatory people.
So what we're saying really is that part of the reason that glam metal or whatever you want to call some of this was unpopular is because they appealed to women.
No, not at all.
I'm asking as a question. I'm not.
It's a byproduct of the appealing to women. So it was undoubtedly popular. It was the biggest thing in the rock scene. But the metal bands, the more traditional metal bands, the Metallica fan, the Slayer fan, they were gonna look at this, and I think they'd use homophobic slurs to describe.
Okay.
Which is like because not only is this music that appeals to women, but they would also take the position that you're also dressing like women, which is wild because you know that every member of every hair metal band was doing a whole lot more fucking than anyone in Slayer.
Also, arguably one of the greatest metal vocalists ever has definitely had his fair share of dicks tossed his way.
Yeah,
he owns a bag of Richards.
Yeah. He patented the bag.
The
of Richards.
ridiculousness of that. Also,
yeah.
I would just like to go on record as saying that I think some of Meshuggah's music is the most accurate representation of female rage.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to Motley Crue. And so I wrote an email with the bands that we're going to look at and the order that these tracks...
I thought you were going to say I wrote an email to the band to be like,
no.
And another thing, what do you mean they're glam metal?
Yeah, Motley Crue, to me, are like the pinnacle of hair metal. They're the best example of what hair metal is. So what do you know about Motley Crue?
I know that there's a joke in The First Wives Club, which is a movie where one of the characters has an alcohol problem and the other character says, and they changed it for overseas, but one of the characters says, I was just having some drinks at the weekend, and the other character said, who did you have over for drinks? Motley Crue.
I see.
That is the literal...
Is that all you know?
Only thing I know about Motley Crue.
So I kind of went out my way. That's not all you know about Motley Crue. I have played you the song "Kickstart My Heart" as to try and get it into your playlist of 80s bangers.
Which I didn't because I was like, no.
And then initially the song that I had for us to listen to was, of course, Girls, Girls, Girls.
Girls, girls, girls. Okay, I know that.
Checked. I was like, do you know this one?
I
and
literally
you did know that one.
That's the bit that I know. It's been in movies, though.
Yeah, of course. So, Motley Crue, American heavy metal band formed in Hollywood, California, 1981 by bassist Nicky Sixx, Tommy Lee, Mick Mars on guitar, and lead vocalist Vince Neil.
I don't think his real name's Nicky Sixx.
I should know this because I have read his autobiography.
No, it's not.
Motley Crue, are just unapologetically hair metal throughout their entire careers, and I kind of like and respect that. So.
Yeah.
The nucleus of the group first came together in early 1981 with former Sweet 19 guitarist and lead vocalist and one-time member of Quiet Riot and Dokken, Greg Leon, and drummer Tommy Lee deciding to form a new band. Attended a farewell gig of the popular local band London. Lee was already impressed by the image and stage presence of bassist Nicky Sixx. Even before meeting Sixx, Lee claims that he had posters of London on his bedroom walls. So they flirted with Satanism in a lot of their look. That was definitely what they started with. But then I think it's just this weird melting pot when you look back at that scene, the Hollywood scene during that late 70s, early 80s thing. It's the perfect combustion engine. It's the perfect melting pot of records. Like MTV happens, so music video is huge.
Yeah.
And suddenly, because music video is huge, suddenly you've got a really effective way to market songs to people.
Sure.
So record sales start going through the roof. CDs come along later, but still, like cassette tapes. The money to be made in music was huge. And you also have like the explosion of drugs on the scene. So during this era, you've got young people who want to make music, drink and do a lot of drugs and fuck a lot. And all of the bands are essentially just catering to that. So before listening to any Motley Crue, I've prepared a little list for you.
Okay.
Of Motley Crue's top 10 craziest moments.
Oh god.
So I read Motley Crue's autobiography, The Dirt, many years ago when I was in finished high school into college.
You're a big Motley Crue fan.
I do like Motley Crue, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a big Motley Crue fan, no.
I get.
It's not like I've learnt any of their songs or anything, but yeah.
Girls. Sorry.
So we're gonna look at Motley Crue's 10 craziest moments. I'm gonna get your thoughts, okay? Don't read. Look at me. Yeah. Okay, so number 10, The Apartment from Hell. So like pigs, the bands enjoyed revelling in their own filth. The band's Sunset Strip apartment had a roach problem on a near biblical scale. They couldn't afford pesticides, so they used lighters and hairspray to exterminate the bugs, which showed some initiative, if nothing else. Another innovation came from in the shape of toilet paper, or the lack thereof. They used socks, band flyers, magazines, and whatever else came to hand.
You know that meme that's been out recently?
This is number 10.
You know that meme that's been out recently?
Yeah.
100 men versus a gorilla?
Yeah, yeah.
How about 100 men versus cleaning their fucking ass properly? How about that, Hazel? No, I'm sorry, but no. Okay. We're not fucking flame-throwing cockroaches and wiping our arse with socks.
Keep looking at me.
What in the fuck?
Number 9, the burrito deodorant.
Oh, God.
To keep things on an even keel at home, the band would hide the fact that they'd been playing away with groupies while visiting a restaurant called Nogle's, buying egg burritos and rubbing them on their crotches to cover the smell of sex. Nogle's had a bathroom that they could have used, but they never once thought to visit and wash their dicks instead.
I haven't the words. I think
the next one highlights where that really came from. The hygiene wager. Tommy Lee and Nicky Sixx once had a bet seeing who could go the longest without showering and still hooking up with groupies. After a few weeks of leather pants and sweating on stage, even the most ardent of groupies couldn't be blamed after getting to waist level with Sixx, becoming overcome with nausea and vomiting spaghetti up all over his junk. One hopes that it helped mask the smell.
What the fuck is going on here? What the freshwater fuck is going on this day, on the Lord's Day? What's going on? We're not doing this, people. We're not intentionally going out of our way to not wash our dicks for an extended period of time. Why? For
science.
Science? You trying to grow a friend, motherfucker? Like, also, it feels misogynistic. Because you're not going to expect a man to go and suck that dirty ass dick.
Maybe Rob Halford did the same.
No, I don't believe it.
Right,
I bet it was clear as a fucking whistle.
I'm going to keep going. The Jaguar transaction. Tommy Lee once slept with a plus-size fan just so he could drive her Jaguar XJS. As Vince Neil recalls in The Dirt, she told him that if he fucked her, she'd let him drive the Jaguar. That night, Nikki and I walked into the house to find Tommy with this quivering mass bouncing up and down on top of him. The second Tommy finished, he buttoned up his pants and looked at us. I gotta go, man, he beamed. I'm going to go drive her car.
These people are trash.
Children.
These are trash people. These are trash humans. And I'm sorry to say that I have absolutely known trash humans like this. Definitely don't think I've ever walked into a situation where there's been male musicians talking. This is not you. Surely this is not you. Please tell me this is not you.
When I was 18, playing music like this?
My anger problems at 19, 18 and, many of my own issues.
I'll keep going.
Sweet Jesus.
Sex for studio time. Lee slept with the studio engineer to get some free time to record the band's first songs. After Crue ran out of money mid-session while recording a 3-song demo, rather than pony up more dough or come back another time, Lee hooked up with a female engineer recording the band. Later they'd record the song Too Fast for Love, completely drunk, in just 3 days.
Yeah.
The undercover cop incident. After a night at the Rainbow with Lita Ford, Six saw some bikers harassing girls on the street and intervened. Six told one of the bikers to chill, and when the biker told him to fuck off, Six removed the metal belt that he was wearing and hit him in the face. In classic Crue style, the bikers turned out to be undercover cops. They broke Six's cheekbone before dragging him to jail. On the upside, he got the song "Knock 'Em Dead, Kid" out of it.
It's just juvenile nonsense. It's like you've created an aesthetic for yourself that you believe. Like it's that thing that I say sometimes. Everything you tell yourself is a lie, so tell yourself a fucking good one. It's that times a bazillion.
Yes.
Heinous.
In 1984, Vince Neil was with the members of HANOI Rocks at his home in Redondo Beach, running low on drink and though completely smashed. He and Rocks drummer Nicholas Dingley did a booze run. Vince Neil crashed into another vehicle, killing Razzle and injuring the occupants of the other. Vince, equally blessed and cursed by the Motley Crue song Magic, was sentenced to a mere 30 days in jail. He was released after 15 days due to good behaviour. Because the money that this band were generating, you're untouchable. You're just untouchable, aren't you?
Wild. It's just so wild.
The escalation of self-loathing, drinking and drugs, and near constant touring led to Lee and Six breaking bottles over each other's heads and swallowing light bulbs for fun. They threw a bed out of their hotel window onto a Mercedes. Lee set his hotel bed on fire in Switzerland. And perhaps a new low, he pushed a phone receiver inside a groupie and then tried calling her mother. After nearly dying from a heroin overdose in 1987, the first thing Six did when he got home was shoot up more heroin. I remember someone at his record label at the time telling me that Six had come in the next day to discover his bedroom was covered with sprays of his own blood. Then again, they did get Kickstart My Heart out of it.
I'll let you do the last one.
Diary of a Madman. After Vince Neil and Ozzy Osbourne were alleged to have stolen a car and gone joyriding around Memphis, Ozzy in a sundress, it gets hot here in the US summertime, upped the ante by snorting a line of ants and then drinking not only a pool of his own piss, but that of Nicky's too. I threw up in my hands, Nicky said. You win.
These people are... I believe aliens, like the kind of green men advanced situation has absolutely been to Earth. But you better believe that at some point when that's happened, they've bumped into someone like Motley Crue and went, do you know what? We're good. As a society, we'll leave you to it, you bunch of fucking cretins. Listen, I'm not prudish in the least when it comes to things like music industry behaviour. Like, I've been to plenty of parties and after shows, and I've seen bad behaviour from all kinds of musicians, both men and women. But I just think it's something really gross about being that successful and that amount of money and not just acting badly, but doing real damage to people and just being like, like you killed someone. You forced a receiver into...
He did leave the band after that.
Sure. You forced a receiver inside a groupie. Did that groupie consent to any of that?
Yeah. But there's going to be the power play in a situation like
Exactly.
that. Those groupies will consent to anything.
Exactly, which is not,
It's still consent. It's tricky.
You know what? Godspeed. I hope every single one of them. No, I'm not going to say that out loud. That's a terrible thing to say, and I'm a better person.
Okay, so this is LiveWire.
They stub their toe really hard, and it gets like a hematoma, and they have to have an expensive hospital bill, and they shit themselves on the way to the hospital in front of someone they really care about.
This is LiveWire, taken from their first album. Oh no, sorry, I need to bring it up on screen. There we go. So, we were saying while that was playing, this is metal though, yeah?
Yeah.
Because of the kick drum.
Early metal, it's not exactly...
No, but it's got that post-new wave of British heavy metal.
Yeah. No album.
Yeah.
The kick drum sounded cool. It was catchy. He's not a great vocalist.
No, and he's only got worse as the years have gone by.
It's also like, if you ain't going to be washing your dick, sir, you better be a better vocalist than that, because I'd turn Prince down even if he was like 3 weeks deep into not washing his dick. So you certainly don't get to do stuff
I was thinking this while watching that. Like I say, it's the perfect storm. Record sales are starting to go through the roof. Drugs are really, really kicking off.
Yeah.
But it is just an evolution of the things that were going on in the 70s. Like, we don't know what kind of depraved shit Bowie was getting up to.
Oh, listen.
But it's just not documented. Because they steered into it and would tell stories about it.
But that's just it. It completely is documented. David Bowie was subsisting on fucking crack and storing jars of his own piss in a fridge and fucking all kinds of weird fucking shit. I'm not for a minute saying like...
I'm just more talking about the exploitative things that rock stars will have done to groupies.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. When you talk about disgusting, sure, but the exploitive things, we probably will never know. Like I mentioned Steve Tyler earlier on.
Yeah.
Like the truth of the matter is, who knows? But some of the actual legitimate cited stories of him having relations with 15-year-old girls is like, what the fuck is going on in this day? But what's going on is, you're right. It's ultimate power corrupts. Yeah. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And at that time in the music industry, they could buy and sell people.
Yeah. So Motley Crue is the only band that I'm going to give you 2 tracks from. That's an early track. This is a little bit later. This is from the Girls, Girls, Girls era. It's from the Girls, Girls, Girls album. Okay. This song is Wild Side. And visually, this gives us because that last video feels very on a soundstage, whereas this feels like the sort of shows that they would have been playing. So this is Wild Side. So that's Wild Side.
Yeah, I like it. It's again not all that offensive. Like I think I can understand why someone would call it pop metal.
Yep.
Because it's, verse choruses. The choruses are supposed to be catchy. They're done in a sort of unison choir. It's very few lyrics, and the lyrics tend to be quite sort of easy to digest. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, it's not for me, and it wouldn't have been for me even if I knew they were all rancid shitheads. Mostly because I like good vocalists. So, just saying.
We're going to move on and listen to a song by the band Rat. So Rat, Stephen Percy on vocals, and Warren DeMartini is their notable guitar player. Definitely glam metal band. And we'll be listening to the tune Round and Round. I picked Rat because they're definitely early on in the hair metal thing. So Round and Round is from 1984. Okay. So I'll bring that up.
Yeah. It's confusing.
Go on.
Because I think I love the darkness, and I think there's bands not unlike the darkness whose music I really enjoy.
Yes.
Right up to Ghost, which some people would argue is not metal either. And I'm just like, where's the disconnect here? So often when we listen to the early or proto bands of a particular part of metal, I'm like, fuck yeah, I love all this shit because it's closer to the stuff that I would normally listen to, and therefore I can find more in it that I enjoy. But with this, I don't know, it feels just super boring. ow, ow. Like that vocalist is also not great. It's just sort of very middle of the road, very mid. It's all very mild sauce. It's not even mild sauce. It's fucking lemon and herb.
But is the image on point? Well, that's the important thing.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Like, when I think about films like Lost Boys, the soundtrack for Lost Boys is really fucking great. I stand by that. It's solid. But in that period of time, when you watch Lost Boys, because it is this beautiful capsule of time, you look at some of the people in the background and some of the records that are on display and some of the comics that are on display, and you just know that music like this was absolutely kicking around during Lost Boys time.
Yep.
And the aesthetic of a lot of those teenagers was that wild. It was breaking free from their parents, who, especially in America, would have been kids, you know, during like the 50s. So very buttoned down, very conservative.
Yes.
So it's them. But this feels like the washed out version of that rebellion, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commercial viability.
Yeah, yeah.
I've realised that I didn't take it off screen, so I've kind of spoiled what we're listening to next.
Oh. I'll put something in front of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
no. Tell. Oh, well, I guess I can skip ahead. I thought I had WASP next, but apparently I have DOKKEN next. But we'll jump to WASP. So 1985. Formed in 1982, WASP.
What does WASP actually stand for, though?
So let's see what Google tell us.
We ate spaghetti with parmesan. We ask servants for packages.
So the AI overview says they do not have a specific meaning
Lies.
for the names, but We Are Sexual Perverts was inscribed on their first album.
I hope it's not that.
Why not? It's definitely not We Are Sexual Predators. Yeah.
Lord.
I have a bit of a soft spot for WASP. I saw WASP live.
Because sometimes wildly your taste is in your arse. I've never known someone so marmite who can listen to high art and jazz and fusion and all of these wonderful pieces of music and then turn around in the car and go, put this on and I'll put something on and it'll be rancid dog shit. Like, how?
I like the controversial aspect of WASP. It feels like they're trying to upset people. So Lawless was known to tie semi-naked models to a torture rack, also hurl raw meat into the audience. The band's debut title, entitled "Animal Fuck Like a Beast," and its cover were equally controversial. There's something about them, and they've got a fair few songs that I quite like. From a party perspective, like it's the attitude and the thing that I kind of dig. So I do have a soft spot for them. And like I say, I saw them live many years ago and I had a good time.
How old were you?
When I saw them live?
Yeah.
17.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we're going to listen to WILDCHILD from 1985.
Mm-hmm.
I will just bring that up for us. So yeah, this is WILDCHILD from 1985. Blackie Lawless on bass and vocals.
Okay.
Sounds like this. The thing I enjoyed most about watching that is because I can see the video here and I can see you on screen just there. Big finger.
What was that?
I can see you on screen.
Big finger.
I can see you on. And again, I'm sure if I do this, I can give myself a giant hand. Maybe no.
What are you trying to do?
Give myself a giant finger.
Give me a monocle.
What I enjoyed watching there most was your reaction whilst watching that video.
Okay.
Because you look. It's very, very rarely do you look speechless. It's like you didn't know what you were watching. You were like, "What is happening?"
I don't understand what's happening, but here's what I do know. When I next again watch Spinal Tap,
yes,
I'll know for sure that wasn't a comedy. They were deadly fucking serious. This was
a parody. They were parodying. Yeah.
No, I understand that. I understand.
They're parodying real things.
But that's just it. Like, because this stuff passed me by, I never listened to any of this, and certainly my parents never.
Oh, you missed out then.
My parents never played any of this stuff in the house, like for me when I was a kid.
You can see Blackie Lawless's nipples there.
So
wonder when he last washed them.
So when I watched Spinal Tap when I was young, I enjoyed it and I thought it was funny. And the only sort of hair metal I knew of, it made sense, but it did feel really hyperbolic. But I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, it's not hyperbolic at all. What's going on? What's it? You're getting them all wrapped up in the wire. Let's do that. Oh, Brover. Brover, you don't
Carry
like hair metal. Show his peep on the camera. Brover washes his dick more than some of these bands do. It's bizarre. When it started, I was like, oh, okay, I'm into this. I'll enjoy this. And then he started singing, and I was like, no, take it back, directly walking it back, putting it in the toilet.
Oh, that's a shame. I vibe with Wasp. I like Wasp.
I love that for you. I love that for you. Were the lyrics in that giving me Sahara Desert? Yeah, absolutely. Did I slightly want to crawl inside myself and die? Yes.
Why?
Because he's creepy as fuck. However...
but he's not Nikki Sixx.
No, he's not, but he's still like got that look about him that says, I'm on 100 days of not washing my arse for a joke. And the joke's on everyone else, Blanche. Yeah. It's again, when it started, I was like, oh yeah. Da! I'm still waiting. I feel like you're going to show me something and I'm going to like, this is my new personality. I love it.
No.
Because I'm like, how is it possible?
No.
How is it possible?
Yeah.
But right now I'm like,
yeah,
that's plenty.
Yeah. In 1987, Wasp had their song Scream Until You Like It included in the soundtrack of the movie Ghoulies 2.
Ghoulies!
I know you enjoyed the Ghoulies.
We do love the Ghoulies.
Yeah. But I guess that's another way of putting it, right? All of the camp 80s horror music.
Yeah.
Camp 80s horror movies that we do love. Like, this stuff is that.
Well, that's why
in music form.
Yeah, but that's why I'm perplexed.
They're like B-movie bands.
Yeah.
And I like it.
I genuinely was badgering you to do this for weeks.
Now you're regretting that.
I know, because I was convinced I was going to be like, this is everything. I'm going to enjoy all of the music. It's going to be so much fun. And so far, I've hate's a strong word. I've strongly disliked quite a bit of it.
But I think that it makes sense to me because, like, you're a creative and you're an artist. And I think that you're into making art, but most of the bands at this point were into making money and into making love.
None of these people made love at this point.
These motherfuckers will have had dicks that were red raw and not just from the lack of washing.
Fucking.
That's what I'm talking about.
From rutting like
pigs. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yes.
And they were having a great time with it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Which is just not the reason that
the people they were fucking probably weren't. That's all I'm going to say, because it's always the same. These motherfuckers release these fucking rambling like exposés on their lives, and you know, it's been ghostwritten by someone about how great their whole life was and all the fucking they did, and they talk about all the people they had sex with, and it's like, absolutely, Gary, you slept with 1,000 women, but you probably didn't make a single one of them come. I'm just saying that. You slept with 1,000 women doesn't mean you're actually good in bed. Just saying.
Sure, but they're not bragging about how good they are in bed. They're bragging about how successful they are in bed.
I don't know if that should be something they should brag about.
Next up, we have DOKKEN. So, do you know anything about DOKKEN?
I've never heard I've not even heard the word before.
So I've played Mel some DOKKEN before. I played Mel Dream Warriors, which of course was the one of the
for Freddy Krueger,
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because again, this whole scene, it's like that bit. Everything's B-movie.
And I remember it was so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
Yeah. We're not here to have a smart time. We're here to have a stupid time. Stupid dumb fun. So DOKKEN, American heavy metal band formed in Los Angeles in 1978, split up in 1989, reformed 4 years later. The band has had several hit singles, which charted on the Billboard Hot 100, such as Alone Again, In My Dreams, and Burning Like a Flame. Sold more than 10 million albums worldwide. Classic DOKKEN lineup consists of founder Don Dokken on vocals, George Lynch on guitar, Mick Brown on drums, and Jeff Pilson, who replaced the rap-bound Juan Croucier. Did I do that right? Croucier?
Yeah,
right.
Sure. Crucier.
Or Croquette. John Croquette.
John Croquette.
Yeah.
That man fixes radiators.
Yeah, I was never into DOKKEN.
No.
Their guitar player, though, George Lynch. George Lynch, like, very, very popular. I've been influenced by George Lynch's vibrato in my playing, but certainly not really his playing.
Oh, okay.
Never into DOKKEN.
Uh-huh.
But we're going to listen to In My Dreams from 1985 again.
Okay.
So sounds like this. So I deliberately let that one go all the way through the guitar solo because at this stage we haven't talked guitar solos,
Sure.
which are an important part of this genre of music.
Okay.
What?
Sure. You know, I'm not like, you know.
Like, there's probably going to be people in the comments raging that we don't play any Van Halen.
Yeah.
Because Van Halen are like one of the fathers of this sound. But again, I just think of Van Halen as a rock band. Though they get a little bit more kind of hair metal-y when Sammy Hagar joins the band. But yeah, I want, in my mind, I'd like to separate Van Halen from this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think of Van Halen as making art. And I think of this as all being vapid bullshit.
Yeah, when that started and there was a little choir, I was like, okay, we're expressing something new, some musical ideas that have maybe occurred, you know, whilst we weren't doing things like burning down our apartment because it's full of cockroaches. But no, it just, in fact, when it went, I was doubly disappointed because when it went to the chorus, it was like, da 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 da, and I was like, oh, here we go. And then it just went, it's just a wet fart. It was just musically speaking, a wet fart. And I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
Good guitar solo, though.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of these people, this was the same time as Angry Mousing was creating.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people, I imagine, listened to Angry Mousing.
Yeah.
I'm
he
sure
was
not.
certainly influential. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But like I say, it's post Van Halen. So Van Halen happens in 78.
Mm-hmm.
The Malmsteen's like 81, 82. This is a little bit on after that, but Eddie is the king at this point.
Yeah, and I also find it fascinating that music that is before metal became math, but after rock and roll,
Mm-hmm.
so still fairly more connected to the blues than it is to modern metal, could be so like devoid of groove or blue notes or anything like that. Just like this is the way a song in the world. Excuse me, my friend, I gotta wash my dick.
I should have read you that dick story at the end, right?
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
It's now coloured your
It
entire...
has. Wash
it's
your
tainted.
dicks, people. I should have to say that.
Just don't sleep with Motley Crue. That's fine.
I'd sooner die. I would sooner die in
But
the
if you-
fire of hell.
If you don't sleep with Motley Crue, Brover's going to die.
Well, he's 12 years old. Oh! Ivy.
Yeah, so that's Dokken. Oh no, I've spoiled it. Hide that again.
Oh, I nearly threw up.
Next, we're going to move on to the band Poison. So again,
Poison.
I think of Poison as being like I say, one of the big hair metal bands. Let me tell you a little bit about them.
I'm sure Poison's in a joke on The Simpsons, but I can't remember it right now.
I would imagine so, yeah. Because look at this massive hair. Now they're most famous for their song "Every Rose Has Its Thorn."
That's it.
You know that one.
Every rose has its thorn. Otto plays that to his girlfriend when they're getting engaged.
Okay. Every Rose Has Its Thorn, but it's power ballad, you know?
I literally just know that line from The Simpsons. I don't know.
I didn't pick it because it's a power ballad. So Poison, American rock band formed in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania?
Mechanicsburg.
Yeah, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
No, you're right.
1982.
Yeah.
I think, well, it very clearly says Mechanicsburg.
Yeah, it does.
But that sounds silly.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it sound a little bit more sophisticated. The most successful incarnation of the band consists of lead singer, rhythm guitarist Bret Michaels, drummer Ricky Rocket, bassist Bobby Dahl, and lead guitarist C.C. DeVille. So C.C. DeVille, this is who I think of when I think of Poison. You're looking for Bret Michaels, the vocalist.
Okay.
We are going to be listening to the song "Talk Dirty to Me."
Okay.
You'll almost certainly know this song.
Okay.
It was very popular.
Why? Oh, okay.
I always thought of C.C. DeVille as being like this guitar player who fell into a career.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, if I can get up to date with what everyone else plays, why are you playing these old blues 50s licks?
I was about to say it was just like old blues.
I have to watch it now. I wonder how much BC Rich paid to be featured in this. BC Rich, the guitar brand. Because there's like 8 different BC Rich guitars that get shown in that. Every colour, every body shape, they're all fucking in there.
He literally flings one off of camera at one point. You're like, that definitely killed someone. That was the best one so far.
Okay.
But the bar's on the floor, so they don't get a lot of points for that.
Fair.
It felt like there was a genuine attempt to make a chorus that was
commercially viable.
Yes, but with more than 2 chords, which
Yes.
I appreciate. I do. Yeah, that one was the least offensive out of all of them, as far as. Yes, not offensive in the sense that it's commercial music, but also not offensive in that, like, there's not some creepy guy trying to stare down the camera and, you know.
And you completely put out of your mind how recently they washed their dicks.
Please stop saying it, because I'm on fire from that whole top 10. That whole top 10 nearly sent me into a full lie down situation. A lie down and
Lie
hope
down with
for
Nikki Sixx?
No, a lie down and hope for that asteroid. Pray for that asteroid.
Okay, this is
This
Every
seems
Rose Has Its
validating.
Thorn. So you think of that from The Simpsons,
Yeah.
not Bill and Ted?
No.
No, where they're in the medieval times, and they read that as poetry.
Oh, okay. It's been a long time
Every
since.
rose has its thorn.
Yeah, I've not seen Bill and Ted for years. That sounds like me when I'm making fun of something
Sure.
and songwriting on the spot, which I do quite a lot in a lot of my shows, and I really should examine that as to why I do that. Yeah, that wasn't exactly high art. Tom Waits once said that music is an interesting thing to do with sound or space or something like that. And I'm like, of all the interesting things you could choose to do, and you chose to do that. Like, why?
Next up we have Def Leppard. So Def Leppard, definitely one of the biggest bands in the hair metal-y thing.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
I think one of the things that's currently putting me off about all those bands is how American they are.
Yes.
Or how American they
Well,
feel.
HANOI Rocks were Finnish.
Oh, okay, sorry. Beg your pardon. I think there's certain eras of music where I think that England, unfortunately, but Britain as a whole, had superior musicians
Yes.
making superior art.
Throughout almost all the history of rock music, yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
And metal music, yeah.
I didn't say that. That was Levi Clay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, though having said that, I did say that Lamb of God are the best metal band.
That's true.
episode.
That's true. Well, so I'm interested.
And I got no kickback on that, which I was quite pleased by. Mainly because nobody listens to the whole show. But
I mean, the last one was pretty bad. I think we got like 190 views on the last one, and I was like, well,
it just kind of showcases how focusing on our band is important.
yeah, I think so. And I would say to the 190 people who did watch the last one, thank you very much.
Yeah. So Def Leppard, yeah, English rock band. And I put them in here because I've never been into them, but lots of people are going to say that they're one of the big four of hair metal, but they're also going to say that, well, really, they're a Nwabum band.
Nwabum!
Yeah, they started in that Nwabum sound.
Chinos.
And much like Bon Jovi, I would say they broke out of hair metal and followed their fan base and just kept making music that appealed to their audience for a long period of time, which is why they're still, I'm pretty sure they're still active. So, formed in Sheffield, 1977. Since 1992, the band is consisted of Rick Savage, Joe Elliott on lead vocals, Rick Allen on drums, Phil Collin on guitar, Vivian Campbell on guitar and backing vocals.
Okay.
Yeah. Established themselves as part of the new wave of British heavy metal in the 80s. Greatest commercial success came between the early 80s and mid-90s, which, of course, is the hair metal scene.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are going to listen to a song by Def Leppard called Animal from 1987.
Okay.
Only a couple more to go. So this is
Good.
Animal.
That was
I love
okay.
it.
That was okay. That wasn't so bad. It was. I think. Yeah, it was very. I can imagine at the time it probably did really well. People bought it a lot, listened to it in the car, and enjoyed themselves a lot. And that's really all you should expect from a lot of commercial music.
Yeah.
I would very much like to listen to something where someone takes any form of risk, because, like, as much as I don't like black
the next
metal,
song takes risks.
those motherfuckers take some risks, and I respect it.
The next song definitely takes risks.
But like a good
The next
risk.
song is like a jailbait risk. The next song is like,
Oh god.
are we outing ourselves as paedophiles on this?
Oh my god! Why? Why? Do you know what I'm also concerned about now?
Go on.
Is that I pushed for this really hard, right?
Uh-huh.
And I, on several podcasts, was like, yeah, we're going to do hair metal, without actually realising the fucking bullshit we're going to be listening
But
to.
I'm gonna highlight, like, all of this is really important because you've learned about a genre, a subgenre of metal now. Like, You know the difference. If I said to you, there's a hair metal gig we're going to go to tonight, or there's a thrash metal gig we're going to go to tonight,
Go to the thrash metal.
you'd know the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if we're going to hair metal, I don't know. Unless you get Vicks vapor rub smeared under your nose when you're going in to make sure you can't smell anything, it's definitely not for me.
I mean, what if I bought up a hair metal band that was all women?
I'm definitely still going to be like, you better work, Hazel.
This is Vixen.
That's my sister's nickname. Okay, that was better.
You like that more?
Still not great, but much better. Shocker.
Okay, should we get onto the sex offenders? No, they're not. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. They're not. So, Winger. We're going to look at the band Winger. Winger's an American hard rock band formed in New York City in 1987. Gained popularity during the late 80s and early 90s with 2 platinum albums, Winger and In the Heart of the Young, along with charting single 17, Headed for a Heartbreak and Miles Away. So Kip Winger, if memory serves me right, is the lead vocals and bass guitar player. So we're going to listen to the song 17 by Winger. So it sounds like this. We were talking a lot whilst that was on, so we're going to have to repeat ourselves now. But
at one point in one of the scenes, she was holding a teddy.
Yeah.
You
have teddies?
I do have teddies.
You're nearly 40. You've got teddies.
That's true. However, I don't know. I just maybe it's a both an age thing. I think it's definitely an age thing, but certainly a gender thing. In that I have never looked at a man very much younger than me, and thought, I find his youth and how young he is as an attribute that is deeply attractive and sexually exciting to me. So I think there's just a disconnect there for me. Do I think you should be writing music like this? Of course not, but I like what you said.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, I'm like, this song makes me sad because I think the riff is really cool.
Yeah. I
think the chords in the chorus are really cool. I think the melody is really cool. I think it all comes together really well. I like the song.
Yeah.
I don't like the lyrics.
Yeah. And like you say, there's a difference between writing something like this when you're 20, which is still a bit like, oh, come on, man. But
you can't sing a song like this when you're 30 anymore.
No, because then it's like, yeah.
But to me, that's interesting. It's like, write that and then learn as you get older. You look back at... I wonder if interviews have been done with Kip Winger where he talks about how he feels about this song now.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I'm sure he felt like that.
Sure.
Like, oh, I'm 21 years old and like, oh, there's a 17-year-old girl that's hitting on me. And you know it comes from a place of infantilization and cleanliness, untouched. Which is like, that's not his fault. That's what he was told. That's what he was taught. That's what society taught him.
Society and religion.
Yes. And he's, I would like to think that now he probably doesn't like to perform this song.
I'd like to think now that he probably doesn't want to perform this song. Unfortunately, it's a big hit for him. So it probably, very much like what we were talking about last week, is that sometimes stuff that you wrote when you were coming up becomes really popular. You don't get away with playing it anymore. And in the interest of fairness, like Fleetwood Mac, certainly some of the themes that ran through their music, I can't remember specifically. There was a lyric I was listening to the other day and I was like, that's not fucking cricket. But also like Stevie Nicks doing Edge of 17.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely, there's cannon fodder in the lyrical content or to make lyrics where there's the juxtaposition or, what's the word I want? Where you're basically talking about stuff that's taboo or blah, blah, blah. That's part of art and nothing should be off the table for discussion, but for God's sake.
Yeah. Like I say, shame to me because I think the tune's good.
Sure.
It's like one of all of the tunes that we've listened to, musically is the one I like the most.
Oh, okay.
It's got a vibe to it. I like the tempo. I like the production. It's a little bit later on, like I say. I think it's, did I say 87? 88, that tune.
I think for me, the female band was great.
Yep.
Not great. Correction. Not great. Out of everything, the best. But that band where they had all of the guitarists, the branded guitars, all the branded guitars.
Poison.
Poison.
Yeah.
That was probably the passable one.
And
for me.
the thing with this is, like, I want to work out which of these bands you like the most. Which one you pick.
Yeah.
Because I think over the coming week, I'm going to have to play you a few more of their songs. So when we do the podcast next week, you can at least come back and go, okay, yeah, so I listened to a few more Poison songs, and either, okay, they were definitely the best of a bad bunch, or actually they were dog shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so final band, we're going to look at the band Skid Row. My favourite of all of the hair metal bands. Skid Row is an American rock band formed in 1986 in New Jersey. Current lineup consists of a bunch of people, but the group achieved commercial success in the late 80s and early 90s with its first 2 albums, Skid Row 1989 and Slave to the Grind in 1991, both certified multi-platinum, the latter of which reached number 1 on the Billboard 200. Those 2 albums also produced some of Skid Row's most popular hits, both in and outside of the US, including 18 and Life, and I Remember You, which peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 10.
I remember you.
And other charting singles such as Youth Gone Wild, Monkey Business, Slave to the Grind, Wasted Time, and In a Darkened Room. Do you know any of these?
Not at all.
We're going to be listening to Youth Gone Wild.
Okay.
Do you want to give us a guess at how that sounds?
Youth gone wild, 'cause it's youth gone wild, and we haven't told our parents when we're coming home. There you go.
Yeah, fine. Those 3 albums featured the band's classic lineup, which consisted of Bolan, Sabo Hill, drummer Rob Affuso, and frontman Sebastian Bach. So we know who Sebastian Bach is because I was playing some Sebastian Bach to you.
He did the most frightening version of Riff Raff in the Rocky Horror Picture Show I have ever seen.
He did. Yeah.
He looked like he was giving everyone a rollicking for something.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to know why he was cast in that, because the Riff Raff role is not.
It's not that.
Yeah.
And he played
cast him as Eddie.
Yeah, or because Riff Raff's supposed to be sort of like a bit downtrodden and a
creepy.
bit sort of like. Ooh.
Yeah, there's nothing creepy about Sebastian Bach. He's just rocking around the stage like, I own this thing.
Screaming at everyone.
Yeah.
Screaming.
So maybe we'll listen. We're actually not running nearly as long as I thought we would, so maybe we can check out a couple of Skid Row tunes. But let's start out with, like I say, Youth Gone Wild from 1989. And I've put a note for myself here. Sebastian Bach also played Riff Raff. That was me, so I could tell you that. So this is, Youth Gone Wild.
Sebastian Bach is he's a good singer. I think the bass had a nice tone to it.
Yes.
I think that was probably one of the better ones you've listened to.
Mm-hmm.
Still not. It's absolutely not going to be one of those ones that I listen to on repeat, or
Again.
ever again. But you know what?
That's so funny to me. So funny. Well, just because it was you that wanted to.
I
know.
know. I was so convinced that I was going to have such a great time and I was going to enjoy it all because I thought it was all going to be like Alice Cooper.
You'll have more fun when we do power metal.
Okay.
Because the vocal, like everybody in the power metal group can play like motherfuckers, including the vocalist. It was going to have a great vocalist with really powerful vocals. It's not about sex; it's about dragons, and
Maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm just a loser at heart. I'm like sex is great and all, but can we talk about this really cool other thing?
Yeah, you want a band who's making music, telling you the story of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is 18 and Life by Skid Row.
Papa Don't Preach. Is it absolutely Papa Don't Preach? This is Madonna for boys.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
As well as.
I was thinking while I was listening to that, right, there are a couple of bands, like I say, that I haven't brought up in this. One, Van Halen. Didn't mention Van Halen as part of hair metal. And thinking that I'm going to name some other bands. And the reason I haven't is because it feels wrong to call these bands this style. One, because the music that they're doing wasn't quite this, but two, because it would tarnish the great legacies these bands do have. Mm-hmm. Because some bands transcend this. Hair metal, you kind of understand why it's used as a pejorative, right? Mm-hmm. Because this isn't something you want to, at the time when you're making a shit ton of money, yeah, great, but as the years go by, it's like, oh fuck, we were in a hair metal band, So when it comes to Van Halen, it doesn't feel right to think of them as that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to ever think Van Halen were in a fucking hair metal band.
Yeah.
And the other huge band that, like I say, can't really be put in this. The press wanted to put them in this, but the band objected to it at all points. Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
can't call them a hair metal band.
No.
Too raw.
Yeah. There's certain bands who do. They walk that middle way between a lot of the different subgenres. I think AC/DC is one. I think Guns N' Roses is another. And yeah.
We brought it full circle. Guns N' Roses, of which Bumblefoot was the guitarist for many years.
He was?
Yeah.
Oh. You were wasted in Guns N' Roses. I'm sure you made a lot of money, so who cares? Yeah. Honestly, Sebastian Bach here. Well done, sir. You showed up and you actually had a voice to bring.
Yeah, I'd love to sit and, you know, play some Guns N' Roses music, etc., but it just doesn't feel right to put it in the hair metal genre. I think that much like Van Halen and Guns N' Roses are two bands who you could quite easily have in a battle to the death over who has the greatest debut album of all time.
Okay.
And I think Van Halen made more great albums than Guns N' Roses, but Guns N' Roses' first album is the greatest debut album of all time. Appetite for Destruction is flawless from start to finish.
That's a
It's
big
high art.
That's a big opinion you're throwing out there.
Big opinion, yeah.
I disagree, unfortunately. But of course I do.
Yeah.
Because metal's not my thing, and neither's rock.
Yeah. But Appetite for Destruction is just a flawless album. It's got elements of this. You know, I wish they didn't do songs like Sweet Child of Mine, which is far too hair metal-y. Yeah. Because they're not that. They're a really loud, angry rock band. They're a sleaze rock band or a sleaze metal band. Great band, but yeah, doesn't feel like it's this. Same with Bon Jovi. Couldn't really call them hair metal. It doesn't feel right to me because they transcended that. Now you think of them as making, you know, country music for middle-aged women, and that's okay. That's totally fine.
I know you're not talking about me, Barbara.
No, I'm not talking about you. So it would be fair to say hair metal not for you?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I have visited the zoo. Most of the animals were asleep, and the one that was awake pressed its arse against the glass and shat. So
you wanted to do Kiss and Alice Cooper though.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that would be any different? Like, name me how many Alice Cooper songs can you name me?
I probably can't name you a lot, but this is it though. Not because.
But can you name me more than one?
Yeah. School's Out, Poison, Mr. Tinker. No, I'm kidding. I can't name them, but
no, it doesn't matter. It's not.
No. If I thought for a minute you were doing that bullshit of like name 3 albums, I would karate chop you in the throat. But I think the difference is with things like Alice Cooper, I listen to that shit passively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm never really engaging, and it's normally music that I listen to when it's smooth brain time. Mm.
Well, what I'm suggesting is if this was the Alice Cooper and Kiss show, you would feel the same at the end of an hour and a half of listening to it and talking about it, where you'd be like,
sure. Oh,
fucking hell, like, take some risks.
Yeah.
So hair metal is not for Melissa Kelly, but we don't care what Melissa Kelly has to say. We care what you have to say.
That's true.
What do you think about hair metal? Let us know your favourite hair metal bands and hair metal tracks in the
I won't listen to them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. If you genuinely think there's something from hair metal that I have missed, there's a ton
of it. Like literally on Discord, student of mine, David, he's like really, really into hair metal, and they're all talking about, you know, all the hair metal bands, and because I asked them for their input, and genuinely, Extreme come under the hair metal thing.
Okay.
Twisted Sister, I didn't play any Twisted Sister.
Sure. There's only so much time in the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So the tons of bands. Rough Cut, King Cobra, Bullet Boys, Bang Tango, Rocks Gang.
Pop them in the comment section, because I will, like, if you feel passionate about. I love people's passion for things. So if you tell me, Melissa, this is the fucking greatest hair metal song of all time, you need to listen to it, I will genuinely go and listen to it.
We'll do it then, because David here posted, you should play Melissa some Steelheart. Mihenko Matjevek, singer, has an incredible set of pipes. So we'll finish up with Everybody Loves Eileen by Steelheart.
What a fabulous title. That was better. He's got a good voice. Yeah. He's well above his Passaggio.
Yeah.
That was fun.
David said, I bought all of this stuff as a kid, spent every Saturday at 23rd Precinct in Glasgow looking through the racks and buying imports. This was before they turned into a dance music store. Sorry, I get excited about this stuff.
Aww.
So their entire, You know, this was the sound of so many people's youth.
Oh, I feel really guilty now. Trust me when
No,
I tell
you don't have to like all things.
That's what I was going to say. I really wanted to like this, but I respect people's time and their intelligence enough to not sit here and lie to you. You know what I mean? I could do that thing and just sit here and go, I fucking love all of this. This is so good. Like, I just didn't know that, like, people made bands like that in that time, and, like, tell me more. Like, I could do that, but I respect you all as individuals with brains.
Yeah, and because she won't do that, no one listens. But that's okay.
That's my problem. That's my problem in life, in my career, in YouTube. I haven't the capability or capacity to just tell people sweet lies, beautiful lies.
Tell them things they want to hear.
I'm more like, I fucking hate.
Well, if you thought that was bad, next week we're going to come back and do death metal. So,
No,
yeah.
we did it.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We did
We
black
did
metal.
it.
We did black. Name me a death metal band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got confused. I thought it was black metal.
No.
What's death metal then?
Do you not think that question is a better
Let's just go on
suited
to
for
the next
week?
podcast. Let's keep recording. Let's keep going. Come on, let's go. No.
So we'll be back next week for death metal. Until then,
Suck a bag of Richards, but wash them first. Every day. Youth gone wild. Causes youth gone wild. And we haven't told our parents when we're coming home. There you go.
Yeah, fine.